Hello Stud-Scribers, Red Suit Studs here. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Lego sunflowers and roses. We're also going to be building some pots and planters for them, as you can see right there. So without further ado, let's get building. Alright, so here are our finished Lego roses. I actually got 2 boxes of roses because I plan on making kind of like a little window box planter for them, so I kind of wanted a good amount to kind of put all next to each other. So you can see with the roses here, you get 2 types in the box here. You get kind of just like a straight one, and then you also get one that has some thorns coming off on the side there. You can see the little brown pieces, and then it also kind of bends at the top there. So I think once I make my planter, I'm going to kind of spread them out, maybe do a straight, a bent, a straight, and a bent, just so it kind of has some variation in the pattern. So with that being said, let's start building this planter. So for my window box planter, I kind of have these thick black bricks here. I have 2 connected here with this red 2x2 circle piece here to kind of make the base all together here, because what I want to do with the edges here is kind of create a wall to make the box, and then maybe put like some like little fence pieces on the top to kind of just give it some extra detail. But in order to fit all the roses, I kind of needed to space them out here, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these little red pins into the red circles here, because that's actually what will connect with the roses here, so you can just stick it right in the bottom in there like that, and then it'll go right into those circle pieces there. And then I think also I'm going to build some bricks all in between these little posts that I'm going to stick the flowers in. That way the whole box has a nice sturdy base to go off of. And then all the flowers, they can lean on it too, so that way they won't be wobbling all over the place, because they are pretty long. So once I build up some more bricks here, they'll be nice and stable when I put them in. So here's what I came up with for some extra support bricks for the inside of my base here before I put the wall around it. So basically what I did, I just took a bunch of white bricks, since they're not going to be seen in there, and what I had the most of was these white ones. I just built them all up here with equal spacing, kind of here, 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 and here, so it'll fit right onto where those little circle pieces are. And then I put brown coloring on top, a bunch of different brown bricks and tan on top here, because what I plan to do is once I put this on there and get the flowers in there, I'm going to take a little bit of inspiration from some of the botanical collection sets where they just kind of drop some loose brown bricks in there to kind of simulate some dirt and some soil. So I made this brown on top just to cover up that white, and so then it'll have a nice layer of brown, and then I can put the actual loose pieces on top so it all looks nice and cohesive with a nice color of brown on top. And then also for some extra support for the little flower stems, since they're pretty wobbly once they're all built together, because they're pretty tall, I added these 2x2 brown pieces with the like handles on here, because once they go through their holes there, then they can kind of rest against these 1x2 brown pieces, so that way they're not shaking around constantly when they're sitting in their places. So here I'll connect on my brown and white pieces here to the base here, so it fits in there nice and perfectly. So there you can see that red one in there. I got them all lined up perfectly, so that way I have at least, I can put some maybe like some 1x6s or just some long ones. As long as they're 1 by something, I can put them all along this wall, all the way building up to here, and then I can put some accent pieces on top or whatnot to make it look fancy. But at least this way I have a nice solid build all the way through, so there's not much for empty space other than where the flowers are going to go. That way it's nice and solid. And I'm also going to put the red pins in here ahead of time, so that when I want to put the flowers in, I don't have to dig everything up to get deep in there to put these little pins in there. So now that I had my solid base and all the insides taken care of, I wanted to work on the outside here. So basically what I did was I just used all black bricks here that I had extras sitting around, and I basically used a technique where you put a brick here and then you put 2 across it, And then same with like down here, you put 2 across the one under it. That way it's kind of like brickwork in a way where it creates a lot more solid foundation instead of just building brick on top of brick on top of brick straight on top of each other. So you kind of use different sizes and stagger them a little bit. That way you have a much stronger foundation here, because even with nothing inside it, it's still really sturdy and takes a lot to kind of take it apart here. So it's nice and sturdy, and it'll be a good solid wall for that flower pot. And then on the top, I also added some little fence pieces, I guess, on the top here, just to give it a little bit of a little window box planter look here. And then I just added some tiles to cover up the studs on top there. That way we have a nice flat finish on top, and it's nice and seamless. So I'm going to stick this right over top here. And you can see it just slides right on there, because I planned it all out by studs, so it should fit perfectly on there. And once we get it all clasped together, there is our planter. So now let's just put the flowers in, and then we can spread some dirt as well. So now that we have our planter box all put together here, I'm going to stick all the roses in here, and I think I'm going to start with the one that kind of bends here, because that way I can stick it in the corner over here, and it's not going to bother any of the other roses because it'll be bending forward, so it's not going to mess with any of the other ones. So then I think I'm going to put the straight one here next to it. And then after that, I think I'm going to put another straight one here, and then the bendy one, the remaining bendy one, I'm going to put in the corner here, and then it'll kind of come out to the right. That way it's not sticking forward just like that one. It's coming to the right over here, so it'll give it a little bit of a different look, and it'll mix it up a little bit and make it look real nice. Now that we have our roses all put in place, I think it's time to add the finishing touches and put a little bit of dirt in the window box planter. So I found a bunch of different tan and brown pieces that I have here. It ranges from everything to these little barrel pieces to some more of the 1x2 like handle plates, but I also have some bigger plates here, all of different colors, but I just kind of wanted to get a good mix so it looks nice and different in there. I think the best move is to kind of put the bigger pieces down first. That way some of these smaller 1x2s, or even I have some 1x1s in here, that way they don't kind of fall down to the bottom where the flowers are stemmed, because even though I have a nice base on the inside there, pretty much tight to the brim, some of those spaces between the stems, there's going to be some studs that might kind of fall in there if I don't block it off with some bigger pieces first. So let's put those down first. Now that we got those big plates down, I think I'm going to put these 1x2 bricks in here next. Since they're a little bit bigger than these other small ones, I can kind of spread them in the center here a little bit, and we'll just drop them in there so they're nice and spread out. And then I think I'll do the other 1x2 plates here next. I'll just kind of put some all around, that way it doesn't all stick in one area there. And then I'll take all the little barrel pieces and the 1x1 plates, and I'll just drop those over top, and those can kind of go anywhere because they'll settle in wherever. And I have a lot of them, so. So here's our final product for our window box planter, complete with a bunch of brown bricks inside for some dirt. And then of course we have all our roses here. So up next we're going to do the sunflowers, and we're also going to create a little pot for them as well. So here's our final build for our sunflowers, and just like the roses, you kind of have two different flowers in each box here. I just got one box of the sunflowers here because I kind of want to build a smaller pot, not as big as the window box planter. But on this one you can see you get 2 sets of leaves, and on the other one you get 1. And on this one, it's kind of just a straight up and down flower, but then on the back of this one you can see it's kind of bent. So similar to the roses, you kind of have a straight flower and a bent flower, just for a little bit of differentiation between the two. So now I think I'm going to work on a pot for these 2 sunflowers here. So here's the beginnings of what I'm going to turn into a flower pot here, and if it doesn't look like a flower pot at this point, you'd be correct, because it's actually going to be built upside down here. I took these kind of 2 by 6 by 2 white windscreen pieces. I have just a bunch of these sitting around, so I just started stacking them on top of each other, and it started to look like something here, but the only problem is that then there is no studs on the top. It's upside down. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to kind of try and work with that here, because I made it flat on the bottom here, that way it has a nice base. And then you can see here I put some of those 2 by 2 round pieces similar to the roses with some pins in them, and I kind of put one on one of those pieces, one of those hinge bricks. That way it kind of leans. That way one will be tilting and one will be straight up and down, just to give it a little bit of a different look between the two. That way they're just not both straight up and down. And then I kind of put a plate down there for them to sit on so they're nice and stable, because it's pretty hollow inside here. So I think I'm also going to fill this pot with some pieces similar to the last one, maybe a different color, maybe some black dirt, something like that. But yeah, I had to kind of build upside down here and think outside the box. So now the challenge is just going to try and be making a wall around this. I have some big kind of brick pieces that are just big wall pieces that I'm not really using for anything else, and they're white, so that comes in handy. So I think I'm just going to kind of build around it and then fill it up with some dirt, just like the last one. So let's get some other pieces together and we can build a wall for this vase here. So here's what I came up with for a wall, or I guess just more of the vase here. You can see it's a little flimsy by itself here, because I'm really only keeping it together here with these corner pieces, and there's some 1x1s in here too, just kind of filling the gaps. So it's a little flimsy by itself, but I think once I here I got some loose bricks here yet still. I think once I stack it onto here, it'll be nice and sturdy, because since everything is upside down, all the studs are just going to connect like that, and then I guess this will be the top of the vase, but we'll fill in some dirt and make it look a little bit nicer once I get this attached there. So then this piece is just going to go right upside down on top of the other part of our vase. So let's just click it into place here on every side. Look at that. Perfect. So even though we are technically building upside down, not much of a vase like that, but once you tip it around, put some flowers in there, it's going to look real nice. So let's see if we can, actually, you know what, let's put the flowers in first and then we'll fill some dirt in there. So I think I'm going to use the kind of straight up and down flower for that hinge brick in the back there. That way I can save the sunflower that tips forward for the brick in the front there. So that one kind of just tilts off to the side, and then we'll take the other sunflower that's kind of tilted and we'll put that on the front pin. Got to be careful of these leaves here, because they're really kind of all over the place. They're not on an axle kind of connector like all the other stems are, so they just kind of spin freely there. But there we go, there's our sunflowers in the vase there. So now let's just find some dirt to pour in there. So I think for the sunflowers here, I'm not going to worry too much about different parts like I am with the roses. So I just got a bunch of different 2x2 black bricks. That way we have some black soil, some black dirt, and I think I'm just going to pour them in there. So let's see how much we need to fill up here. Almost perfect. We lost a couple here, so let's just put that there. So I might just need to grab a few more to kind of fill it all the way up, but other than that, there is our sunflowers in their pot. So yeah, I just grabbed a few more 2x4 black bricks this time, just to kind of fill off a little bit more of the space on the top there. But now that that's all filled up and taken care of, we're all done. enjoyed this build, make sure to stud, scribe, and stay tuned for next time. Thanks for watching.